In this episode,
Look, I love AI. I loved Wally. I've got the film, seen it twice. But why should an owner change a rad if it doesn't need to? Well, it's 34 years old. It would be rotten inside, even if you treated it forever.
Oh, Simon, you see, my husband would be so offended. He chooses the kitchen colour in our house.
But I'd really be resident to kind of remove any human-to-human contact in this transition.
Get it done properly. Get it done by an absolute expert.
I'm just fed up of all these equipment just doing a bit of willy swinging.
you're listening to the award-winning Homeowners Q&A podcast. I'm your host, Mars, and in today's topic, we're covering a big one: how to make your heat pump last more than 20 years. To explore that, I've pulled together a powerhouse panel. We've got Emma Bohan from IMS Heat Pumps, Simon Baseden from AAC Group, Olly Cutting and Pran Arya from Hometree, and Simon Wardle from Ultimate Renewable Supplies. Welcome, everybody. Before we get started, we'd like to thank Hometree for sponsoring this episode. If you haven't come across them yet, Hometree is shaking things up in the world of home energy. They're not just another heating provider, they're on a mission to make greener, smarter home energy simple and affordable to everyone. From heat pumps, solar and EV charging to home cover plans, their focus is on long-term support, not just installations. What we love about Hometree is that they are genuinely thinking about the full customer journey, from first quote to aftercare and everything in between. You can learn more at hometree.co.uk, and thanks again to Hometree for supporting this conversation. Right, so Simon Baseden, why don't you get the ball rolling for us today? I guess the logical place to start this conversation today is to figure out what is the general lifespan of an air source heat pump.
So I did a bit of research ready for this, and the general lifespan is considered to be between 10 and 20 years. There's not a lot of background study on this because air source heat pumps in the UK have only been widely used for around 20 to 40. And I think in the latter, a lot of information wasn't recorded and stuff. So it might have only been in very large properties, wealthy homes, or people that were going super green back in the 90s, which was rare. From our company point of view, what we can tell you is it drastically affects the lifespan of the air source heat pump from a correct installation point of view and a maintenance point of view. That's scaled anywhere from 3 years in our experience. We've had them go wrong and had to help people that have had bad installations that have only lasted 3 years. And we're talking catastrophic failure, compressors, fans, electronic boards, etc. Averagely up to the 10-year mark. So it seems like with bad installation and prolonged issues like flow rates or bad balance, bad design, somewhere between 3 and 10 years is our experience with all the people that we've helped. All of the systems that we look after or have installed in the past that have been of a much better standard last 12 years beyond. The longest one we've ever done is 16 years, which is still currently going. But we are looking after systems that we know have been installed years before we were doing it, and they are 15 plus. But beyond that, we've personally as a company have got no further data. And that sings true to the warranty periods we can get from manufacturers. So in my view, most manufacturers will warrant their equipment to 80% of what they believe the life will be without proper care. So I think most manufacturers give you 7 years because they know it will last 10 with maintenance and minor. But they last much longer than that. They do for sure.
Simon Wardle, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I've been doing heat pumps now for near on 20 years. So previous manufacturer I worked for, funny enough, they were in between, on a block of flats, 9 air source heat pumps. Between 9 and 12 years, we've now switched them all out. To be fair to that, these were old technology under fixed compressors with really bad design parameters, wrong valves, on-off stats, oversized. So that was 9 to 12 years. We've swapped out all 9 flats now. So I generally compare it to a lorry and a car. The machines are all pretty much the same, and I'll be over the head for this. It is to do with the installation. And the setup of that system. So going back to my analogy of a lorry and a car, a long-haul lorry will do generally 750,000 miles before it gives up the ghost, and a car is generally 300,000, 200 to 300,000. And the reason that is that long-haul lorry is doing long and slow journeys, where your car is typically doing stop-starts. We kind of advise, though we've got no backup for this, we advise customers that on an open loop system, running your machine right at slow and steady speeds with no on-off
stats controlling it, like your boiler, you should get a good 20 years out of your air source heat pump, no problems whatsoever. Because if we're seeing the old technology installed very poorly, lasting between this 7 and 12 years, so to say, we've got no data to back that up. But it's now all inverter-driven machines instead of fixed-speed compressors. So that will make a big difference as well. And we're starting to see some manufacturers come out with 12 and 15-year warranties as well.
I think the key thing is, and Simon's just touched on it there, is the technology change in the compressors. When I installed my Bluetooth bathroom mirror, which lights up when you get near it, it said this mirror is good for like 10,000 hours of light. And the compressor is a bit like that. It has a number of start-stops that it will live to. And if you are constantly start-stopping that compressor, you will outlive the compressor more quickly than if you run it low and slow. You know, if you start up your gas boiler or you start up your car, you use that big piece of fuel and then you chug it along. If you're constantly doing this to your compressor in your heat pump, then that is going to die quicker than one where you... And that's just the be all and end all. And if you've got that on an open loop system, which is why every installer in the world is like, get away from on-off controls. You wouldn't have it within 20 meters of a heat pump if you could get away with it. And that's the biggest message to hit homeowners. It's so different from a gas boiler. Starting it and stopping it is the worst thing you can do if you want a heat pump to live long.
Ollie, do you think that homeowners need to get more educated on the subject of maintenance in order to actually ensure that these systems that they're installing, which are quite expensive, are going to be around for the foreseeable future and not have to be replaced after 8 or 9 years?
I do. I think getting the installation right first time and getting it installed by a technical, really good quality installer is key. But then being able to manage the lifespan of the product by having a really supportive partner with you, by having a top quality, super seamless customer journey where you can, you've got you've got that kind of peace of mind as a customer. So that you've had it installed really well, and that if something does go wrong, or if you're having trouble, if you've got any questions, having that really clear kind of touch point, I think is really important.
Pran, from a Home Tree's perspective, what role does trust and continuity play in achieving and getting to the goal of actually getting these machines to be around for the foreseeable future?
So we think of it as the customer heating life cycle, and the installation is one very small part of the journey that you go through when you're having a heating system. One of the biggest barriers today of getting a new heating system is what happens if it goes wrong. And we're moving from a world where we're probably going from, someone mentioned earlier, going from people who are buying heat pumps because they're more educated. It's kind of the early adopters. We're hopefully moving now to that kind of mass market where people aren't going to be as educated as to how to make sure that it's optimized or you don't touch it a lot. So I think, it's very important that the installation company and whoever's there to help maintain that system is not just going out when it's broken, is actually teaching people how to look after that system as they go through that life cycle. So yeah, very important.
So is that part of your educational process to try and educate homeowners to actually understand that? Because I know that a lot of homeowners turn around and go, actually, I've just been quoted £300 for a service. I really couldn't be bothered with that. Is that something that you guys have to more actively try and educate homeowners about to make them see the long-term investments of that money?
We believe in having regular touch points with our customers. So obviously we'll go there to do a service, but also importantly through our portal and through our apps, we're giving, a lot more information about, did you know that this is how you should be looking after your heat pump better, or this is how you shouldn't be touching the heating control systems in the same way. It's going to be a long journey to get all of these, how gas boilers hopefully transitioned over to heat pump. But for me, the key unlock is the education piece. And that happens maybe several years before you get a heat pump. It's when your boiler is coming towards the end of its life, if we're talking about retrofits. Having that education early is really important.
Simon, Wardle, the one thing that I always find a bit of a weird thing to match up is that you're getting, in the maximum cases, a 7-year warranty on your air source heat pump, from the manufacturer. If these machines are supposed to last a lot longer, Why aren't these warranties potentially longer, and how big are the kind of catastrophic failures? How frequently do those actually happen in order for people not to be concerned about having a warranty that extends kind of beyond the 7-year mark?
Out of the box anyway, they come with a 2-year unless you're an accredited installer for most of the manufacturers. So the 7 years is because we haven't got the mass market there on the install side up to speed yet. We're still waiting for another 40,000 installers to drop into this industry to take it where it is. It will increase, but a lot of these as well are OEM products where the sticky label on the box isn't actually their own heat pump. It will increase. It's a bit like unvented cylinders. In my unvented cylinder days, I wouldn't be selling heat pumps today if I'd have took out a warranty period under unvented cylinders. It went from a 5-year to a 10-year, then the 15, then 20, then 25 years. And now you get a lifetime guarantee, a warranty on a hot water cylinder. But you'll be surprised, the stats we got back from there was only 18% actually got them serviced within the first year. And if you don't do that, your warranty's gone altogether. And that's a massive problem. So when many, many years ago, I thought, I'm just going to start up a business where I just go around doing my G3 and doing commissioning on vented cylinders. If I'd have done that now, I wouldn't be selling heat pumps today. I'd be on a beach somewhere sipping a pina colada. So, but you will see after time, you're already seeing it now. One certain manufacturer that we deal with next month changes theirs from a 7 to a 10-year. And then it will be a competition with everyone pushing them boundaries to go 2, 3, but they just don't have that data behind them to push that warranty any further, and certainly not with the skill set that's out in the marketplace at the minute.
But those warranties are contingent on that heat pump being serviced annually. Emma, do you think that's actually fair to put that onus on on homeowners? Should this not just be a case of, well, if this heat pump has been installed correctly, surely if that heat pump has been installed correctly by an accredited installer of that particular brand, surely you should just automatically get that 7-year warranty without having to pay the extra £300-400 a month to get it serviced or per year.
Contentious on the servicing things. Back in the day, we didn't service them. They were sold as not needing a service. Your unvented needs a service. It's a legal requirement for your G3 that you have it looked at every year. And the same way, your gas boiler, because it's, likely that it's combustible bits and could, cause significant issues in your property if there's something wrong with it. But the heat pump itself was sold as a zero maintenance solution. When the RHI kicked in, the government said we need to make sure these things are being looked after properly, and then manufacturers moved to a warranty-based inspection, and that was every 2 years for some of the core manufacturers who were serving the market at the time, and now we're at every year. Is it fair? Well, it depends. I mean, there are certain benefits right now to the heat pumps that are in people's homes to having a service for sure. We do not have every single heat pump with internet connectivity where you can see, monitor and change settings from the back office without actually putting a foot on the ground. So those systems have the potential to only benefit from a decent service, where somebody comes out, actually talks to them about the system settings and makes sure that they're set up correctly and does any bits of remedial work that makes that system be the best it can be, given that knowledge has moved on from where we were 5-10 years ago. Do I think the market will change? Absolutely. I think with the optimization tools that are coming down the line, with internet connectivity, and I do know already that one manufacturer has been exploring whereby an online service that says your system's been operating and all your lights are green is enough to meet their warranty requirements. And I feel that's the way to go. These types of systems that are coming down the line will give an installer and a homeowner advance warning. You'll wake up and there'll be an email that says, we've detected you've got this error, before you've even realized that you've got the error. And then we can turn up with the part to fix that error without having to come out and determine what the error was in the first place and then come back with a part. So I think there will be a much bigger move to what we can do online, what we can see online in terms of meeting those warranty requirements. And then the boots on the ground come from where things go wrong.
Yeah, I'll give you a really good analogy. Air does not get pulled through the glass of your windows, but every month, 2 million, 3 million people in this country have their windows cleaned because they like to look through them. Now imagine that coil has got 50 times the dust going through it. So to give you a non-proven calculation, it's very likely that with that dust laying on the coil outside, that you're reducing the efficiency of the machine by at least 20%. Now, it doesn't need to be blocked. They often don't block unless you're unfortunate with trees and leaves and stuff. Being in the air conditioning industry for 36 years, and these are technically air conditioning units with a plate-to-plate heat exchanger, we know, and 80% of every install we do on air conditioning, they have them serviced. And I'll go to that in a second and why, because it's not for the reasons you think. So if you could teach or convince the owner, and they genuinely would wash it down every month or 3 months, subject to where they live in the country. I live near the beach. You need to do it more. There's salt everywhere. Other people live near dry, sandy earth that needs to, and other people don't. The point of installing these machines from a government point of view is save the planet. You're not saving the planet if instead of getting a SCOP, let's call it a SCOP because everyone measures the efficiency of them this way, but instead of drawing 3 amps, you're drawing now 3.6. You're wasting energy for the sake of someone hosing it down very gently and cleaning out the debris. From a mechanical point of view and the manufacturer, they know that if their system lasts 10 years, and you don't clean that coil, it now lasts 7. You're straining the compressor. It can tolerate it a lot more now than it used to on fixed speed, but because the inverter will correct itself and it will drive it harder and it will adjust all of the delta T's, where before fixed, everything needed to be balanced. If it was dirty, all of the circuit was unbalanced. The manufacturer's assuming no one's going to bother servicing them. That's why they make it strict that you must. And I think Emma's right. There's going to be a balance between what the manufacturer will accept as a minimum, which is go on. And if the online thing starts working, which I'm starting to explore, and we can see it's operating fine, chances are your coil's not blocked. But we could always phone a customer and say, if you've got an opportunity, put the hose on super, super gentle, turn the machine off, gently drag the coil out and hose the coil down, put it all back on, and you'll probably be good for 6 to 10 weeks as well, because we've noticed it's running a little bit gentler. The reason a lot of our customers have services, and I believe from a mechanical engineering point of view in the service, whether it's needed or not, is they want peace of mind. You're selling them peace of mind. They don't want to go in the garden and touch anything. They've got enough money for you to do it. If we're going to charge someone £150 to £300, then I think you should give £150 to £300 worth of work. I think you should inspect stuff correctly. I think you should go further than the client can themselves. Otherwise, let's be honest, the client can clean the coil. We can all clean our own units off. That's not a service. That's one of 20 point checks on a service. 10 points the customer can't check because they're not qualified. It's electrical. They may not be competent to do so themselves. But half the service, they can definitely do themselves. So when we install them now, we advise the customer and we ask them, do you want to be involved? And we can make it a bit cheaper and we can pop in for an hour and check the electrical and the gas and so on and so forth. Do you want no service? But they do lose the warranty. Unfortunately, I think we'll get the 2 years service or no service. Well, we service anyway. We just service it for 2 years for free. So it's all included. And then after that, if they don't want to take a service, then they can void their parts warranty. It's up to them. You don't have to have it. No one's forcing you by law. Would we be happy if the manufacturers built it in and said you don't have to have one? All air source heat pumps would just rise by 10%. And everyone would do it. It's part of the cost in stages.
Yeah, I just don't want to scare. It's a homeowner forum. I don't want to scare them to bloody death here. It's just a fridge that lives out in the garden instead of in your kitchen. So how often does your fridge go wrong? I always say it to a homeowner that's looking to get a heat pump and they go, I don't think it works. I'm thinking, you're about to spend £10,000 to £15,000 on an install and you're still not convinced it works. That's bloody crazy. But then you go, it's just a fridge that, like, how often do you get your fridge service? You don't. The only time you ever change your fridge or your freezer, if the other half wants to change the colour and she's changing the colour in the kitchen, or you want to fit some more beers in the bottom of your fridge.
Oh, Simon, you see, my husband would be so offended. He chooses the kitchen colour and
all right, there you go. We are in the 21st century now.
This is the truth, though. I mean, the thing about a warranty is it's only needed when it's needed. And if you have it serviced for 10 years and it's never needed, the question is, did you need to spend 10 years worth to service it? It's like cars. I've owned cars and never had them serviced because they were 500 quid off Gumtree. But if I went and bought myself a brand new off the parking lot Maserati, I might be more inclined to take out a service plan because it's a high value purchase and I want to make sure that Maserati is doing what it's supposed to do. But the Maserati that I've just paid a lot of money for could equally have the engine drop out of it as my £500 Gumtree. If it's going to go wrong, it's going to go wrong whether it's a gas boiler that's cost you 500 quid or a heat pump that's cost you 20 grand. Likewise, same as with a car.
Are you thinking about getting a heat pump? Then don't get caught out by a bad installation. Bodgebuster is your essential guide to asking the right questions and spotting red flags before it's too late. Written from real homeowner experience, this book gives you the knowledge to avoid costly mistakes and make informed decisions. Get Bodgebuster today in print or for Kindle, link in the description. Simon, I'm going to just pull you back a couple of minutes. So you said, it's just the fridge that lives outside and you don't ever have to service your fridge inside. So why are we being forced as homeowners to actually service our units? Unless you've got a Samsung fridge inside, which is the worst fridge you can possibly buy.
With your fridge, it's an all-in-one unit. So they're not doing pipe work and all the rest to it. You slot it in place, plug it in the back, and then away you go. So there's a lot of other working parts.
Ollie, do you think that the industry has to move to remote monitoring? I mean, should all heat pumps now just be online purely because you can just identify and see faults in advance?
I mean, the straightforward answer to that is yes. Why not? It makes so much sense for, as these guys have already highlighted, the ability to identify the fault before the customer's even woken up or seen something's going wrong. Why would you not want that? From a larger organization like Hometree as well, where we are valuing our customer journey, we are wanting to keep the whole energy life cycle going for our customer and look after them along the whole journey. We want to have that data. We want to be able to make sure that we can say to our customers, we're going to look after you, and this is how, and this is the technology. This is how it works, and it's fed into all of our installers. We are, yes, we're a national company, but we install all of our products locally. And so people are within the area to go and cover them. Emma's company can go and see all of her customers super quickly. Why would you not want the technology to back that?
So Pran, if you want to build on that, obviously AI is taking off at a crazy rate. Do you think that there is definitely an opportunity for that remote monitoring to start using more machine learning and AI to fine-tune even more specifically on potential issues?
For the last 7 years, we've built, I think, the fourth largest now service and maintenance business in the heating space, predominantly boilers. And it's been the panacea is what you said, which is you get the customer to wake up before they even realize the heating's not working. They get a text saying, we're on our way to fix it, don't worry. And we know exactly what part that is. The most expensive part of our business today is the cost involved in getting an engineer to somebody's house, looking at the system and then realizing they need to go away and come back to get a part. And, it's not a great customer experience either because they're in the cold. It's the middle of winter. You've got kids or elderly grandparents. It can be life-threatening. Can AI help that? Yes. We are testing it internally. So we, when a customer raises a fault, this is predominantly with boilers, they give us a bunch of information and then we get we've got an AI system that tries to predict which part is failing. The challenge with boilers is that the fault codes are so generic. It's very hard to actually, without going and seeing it, to actually predict that part very well. So not worked brilliantly yet, but I think, and heat pumps with the amount of data that you can collect from them, these new technologies, a lot of which are connected to the internet, I think there's definitely something there. But it would change the game for a company like Hometree, and I'm very excited to see how that develops.
So Simon, you've been experimenting quite a bit with Havenwise. Does this have the potential to start evolving the industry, especially from a fault checking perspective? I know that it drives efficiencies. It takes a lot of the load off the actual heat pump automatically. Are solutions like this the way forward in order to extend lifespan and just to get these machines to be kind of a lot more cost effective?
I think it does three things. It gives us historic data, which is it's the best diagnostic tool. So we can start to see if it went wrong over half a year. We can take that information and go, oh, we didn't notice, but you're having a lot more stop starts or something was going wrong. That's one example. You can log on at the back end. We can see everything it's doing right the way down to whether it's running, if it's running correct or not, what it's driving, what it's switched to, if the customer interfered with it in any way. It gives you that. And the third thing it gives you I want to call it a bridge to the customer. We're so used to popping in, install, everything works, we leave, we see them again in a year, maybe, and then you lose that relationship. But with this information, even if you're not talking to them any more frequently than once a year, I think going forward, we would look at the historic data as an overview before we go to service or before we go to a breakdown, and we'll say, oh, actually, it didn't break, but I noticed it wasn't heating very well all the way through December. Maybe the way to look at it is this. We're a reactive service when we're going to an emergency call out. They're cold, it's December or January, help me, go fast. we don't think of parts. We just go, have a look, diagnose. And so maybe what we do is we log on and we say, oh, actually, the probe's saying -50. Let's take a bank of probes with us. And then we go and we change the probes and so on and so forth. So I think what it will do is the days of engineer technical support from the manufacturer, help me, what's going wrong, you'll be able to see it on the computer. And I think they'll become smarter. I think companies like Havenwise will learn from the 3 or 4 or 5 manufacturers they're going to work with. And when they've seen every fault code, I think their adaptive AI would be able to say the most likely fault is this, this, or this. So I think it's going to be exciting in the next few years.
Look, I love AI. I loved Wally. I've got the film, seen it twice. But wouldn't it be bloody amazing if we could have a controller that just told poor homeowner that your filter's blocked, you ain't got enough flow, instead of having Wally turn up and we dial in, it just give the homeowner a chance as well. And we spoke about this on previous shows, and that's coming. So our technical manager's a big fan of Havenwise, but I'm sorry to say, I think most of these will become redundant because they're going to be built into the controllers. I'm seeing a lot of controllers come to the market now, which will be coming in the next few months with most of this stuff already built in, which it should have had in the first place. But I think in the next 6 to 12 months, you're going to see all this as standard in most people's controllers. And it will start speaking to English in homeowners as well, which we really get.
I like that that piece there, Simon, because that just reminds me. So when the printer cartridge and the ink in the printer goes, it directs you, doesn't it? How to open it, how to take the print cartridge out, how to put the new print cartridge in, and it talks you through all these screens. So it would be great if it went, filters blocked, go here, step 1, do this, step 2, and it just talk the homeowner through it in the same way that your printer tells you how to change the print cartridge.
I wanted to link this question back to the question to Simon before, reference the maintenance. You can see we've got slightly different points of view. Everyone needs to remember, we're not servicing the air source heat pump, the box in the garden. We're servicing a whole hybrid system. And 80% of them are bolted to 1956 pipework. And I hate leaving any radiators in a house, but why should an owner change a rad if it doesn't need to? Well, it's 34 years old. It would be rotten inside, even if you treated it forever. If you link that to AI, I'm going to explain to you what's going to happen in 5 years' time, which would be a dream. Point of source, room by room, interfaced, smart something or other like TRVs or something better that's bridged AI or information back to a centralized controller that does everything that everyone already does as a Havenwise type thing that talks to the whole system in the whole house. Then, in my opinion, as long as someone washes the coil, you do not need to service it, because that will be intelligent enough with enough information over the whole house, water pressure. It will measure flow. It will measure your flow rate in real time all the time, and it will balance the systems and everything. And when you've got a whole house solution, I think servicing will be a log on and a pop in once every 5 years. Havenwise is a brilliant bridge between what's missing. The air source heat pumps in the garden, the actual pump itself, I think Simon's right. It's a fridge. It will probably last at least 10 to 20 years without servicing. And what I'm personally servicing is the filters and checking that the heating's still running correctly and things like that, because that affects the heat pump. When a smart stat or a smart system can see that live, you don't need us, because that's what we're doing once a year. That will be doing that every 5, every 10 minutes, every hour.
Bits of this exist, so you've got Havenwise on the one side and you've got Arya on the other. So I've got Arya in my house and it does exactly that. You have two. So I know my flow in every single radiator. It balances it constantly. I know how my radiator is open, 1%, 16%. I've got every single room has got a temperature sensor. So it's constantly working those things out.
Yeah, I think it's really important to remember the peace of mind having someone who is an expert come into your home once a year, especially to kind of tell you that the system is working. It's all looking well. It's being as efficient, and especially given it's a new technology, I think we shouldn't forget the importance of human to human in-home contact around these technologies. So I'd obviously love to use AI and technology to streamline and improve the customer journey, but I'd really be reticent to kind of remove any human to human contact in this transition, because I think that's going to be super important. Like with a boiler today, often the engineer just needs to look at it for 5 minutes and just check that nothing's visually inspect it. That still provides a lot of value for homeowners. From when I speak to them, they really just valued having someone come in and just give them peace of mind that, you know, there's no leaking, there's no gases leaking. It'll be similar with heat pumps. We're very keen in Hometree to use technology, but not to forget that we're a human to human business. And AI is not going to install the heat pump anytime soon, and AI is probably not going to fix it when it goes wrong, when any physical parts go wrong. So yeah, I just want to just make sure we remember that.
It's horses for courses. You'll get one homeowner that wants full tech and wants to measure every meter squared of his house, and we get the customer that goes, I don't want to touch it. Don't want to have to touch any buttons. Don't want to have to do anything. I just want a simple on-off. That's all I want. I'm all for the AI, but there's got to be different tech for different homeowners. You'll have Mr. and Mrs. Miggins, like I just said, doesn't want to touch it, just wants the thing to work. And the other one that wants to measure the inside trouser leg. So I'm just fed up of all these equipments just doing a bit of willy swinging. That's the best way to put it. And just measuring bloody scops, because it means nothing to a homeowner. Right? They want to know their running costs and if they're getting warm. So I'm all for AI. I'm all for technology, because we'll have them homeowners that want it. They can have it. It's a bolt-on. But all we're using this for is to go, look at my scop. And homeowner's going, I haven't got a bloody clue what that means.
Well, whenever there is a cylinder installed, you need a human in there. So the human who turns up might as well be one who knows what he's talking about, in case you have got any questions about the heat. I know we've talked about this on a different episode about, the cost of servicing. So, and they compare it to a gas boiler guy. So a gas boiler guy turns up, and like Simon says, he might just look at it for 5 minutes and determine what's wrong with it. And that costs you whatever, 80 quid. And people go, oh, wait, it only costs me 80 quid for my service of the gas boiler. Take away the service of the heat pump and then ask the gas guy who's got the unvented ticket to just come and give you an unvented cylinder a look at. He's going to want 80 quid for that. And then ask him to bolt on the heat pump. So there is 2 parts to the service in terms of the cost. And a gas chap can turn up and give you your G3 certificate if he's qualified for his unvented. And he's going to want 80 quid for that. And then you're going to need a heat pump guy to come out to service your heat pump to make sure your manufacturer's warranty is in place. So at which point it is a more expensive service because there's 2 bits of the system.
We are exactly twice the price of a gas boiler engineer, and we look at 3 things. We look at the controls and how it interfaces. We look at the G3, the cylinder and everything that leaks, and we look at the heat pump. And I'm even considering giving stages of servicing, because the manufacturer only cares that we looked at the air source heat pump, and we only need to do the G3 and the regulations that it needs. And that doesn't take that long. We're just testing that it works and that everything still complies. There will be, I think, tiers as well. So do you want one of us who's trained just to cast an eye over and say, well, the computer says it's good, this says it's good, and you've cleaned your own coil 3 times this year, there's a sticker, everything's good. I'm pro service, and I'm super pro service. And I think Simon W's correct. We don't want to scare any homeowners. I think you can choose after the initial warranty, after 2 years. If you don't want it serviced, don't. If it goes bang after 7, just go, I was a bit unlucky, and buy another one. And because we are a throwaway nation, which drives me nuts too. We don't fix anything anymore. If my fridge blows up in my kitchen, I'd phone Currys or whatever. They take that one and I don't even install it. And I'm a fridge engineer. I just go, chuck it there, mate. And he plugs it in for me. To make it clear, it's not expensive. And Emma's exactly right. It's actually 2 services, which takes exactly double the time if you do it properly. And it's double the cost. So the cost comes from cost of living. Generally, that's what you're paying. If we want to spend an hour, we've got to be £80 plus to travel. If we're going to spend an hour and 3/4, we've got to be £80 an hour to get there and pay for the fuel. So in my opinion, £150 to £200 is on the money. You've probably employed someone that's of reasonable standards that's going to go an hour or so. And I think, Simon, you covered it in another episode. When we've got 11,000 air source heat pumps in the next 3 towns around me, I promise you will be 80 quid an air source heat pump, because we'll be able to do 9 in a day or 8 with the abbreviated services. At the minute, we're doing 1 or 2 and a couple of other bits on the way. The mass market isn't there yet, but it's coming. Yeah, I think 5 years and we'll all be inundated.
Olly, the reason that this podcast actually exists is because heat pumps are just so bloody complicated. How are you guys going to try and make the journey a lot easier for the average homeowner?
We're doing a couple of things. I think the actual technology inside them is, proven and relatively straightforward. As these guys have said, like it's a fridge. It's been around a long time. I think the complexity comes in the whole system and how it works, right? It's not just we're going to chuck a load of heat into a room and hope it doesn't escape. These guys are doing things technically and saying, actually, where can it escape from, and making sure that whole flow, that whole cycle is done correctly. How are we helping our customers understand that or achieve that? Is firstly getting exceptional installers. So there's a really high bar to be a home tree installer. Emma is one of ours. We put Emma through a rigorous testing on the way through. That's really important, right? Get it done properly. Get it done by an absolute expert. The next bit is, how can we keep our customer engaged and involved in the learning process? And that comes from the technology. And it comes from the things that we've just spoken about in terms of getting them aware of the potential faults, getting them aware of the ways that they can interact with us, and ultimately having a really nice sort of customer interface and yes, a bit of technology to make it seamless and to make it as efficient as possible. But to Pran's point, not losing that human interaction, that human touch point. We all get incredibly frustrated when we call a call center and you just get that pre-recorded AI voice. It's really difficult. It's really difficult for anybody. So get it installed properly, have the ability, have the technology, and have the long-term support there, so that it gives you the peace of mind, but also keep that kind of human interaction and that really kind of personal care point, I guess, for the customer.
Simon Wardle, one of the questions that I've got is that we spoke about the 7-year manufacturer warranty, which is quite self-explanatory. If it's installed by installer X and he's had the adequate training, he puts that in and you get that 7-year warranty. There are installers out there that are offering 10, 15-year warranties just from their own side, in terms of, if anything does go wrong with that heat pump, it's on them. If they go out of business, I would assume that warranty is voided and the manufacturer is never going to honor that, right?
Hit the nail on the head. Yeah, it's worthless. They'll sell it for a few £100. So, and don't forget this extra warranty, and homeowner again, to get that extra 5-year warranty is generally a sum I'm not going to name. One is an online answer 20 questions. Bang, you get an extra 5 years out of the box. And then the maximum up to, say, 2 days in a training center, the manufacturer's training center, to get that extra 5 years out of the box. So, but yes, if anyone's offering you 15, 20 years, if they're not around, then it's not worth the paper it's written on.
Would you guys be offering kind of extended warranties, Pran? If you guys have got a big established network of installers kind of nationwide, and if for whatever reason one of your installers, failed to deliver something, would you guys be able to potentially kind of play around with that to try and just give homeowners just that extended kind of peace of mind?
I mean, that's exactly our business model. So as I said, HomeTree started off as a kind of home cover provider where you pay us a monthly fee, and if anything goes wrong with your heating system, we'll send somebody out to fix it. I don't see any reason why that kind of model wouldn't work for a heat pump. And that could be a heat pump that we've installed. Hopefully the ones that we've installed, well, I know the ones that we've installed will break down less. But I'd love to get to a world where we also offer that to heat pumps we didn't install. Obviously, that comes with greater risk, and maybe the pricing would have to be different. Those peace of mind services are one of the big unblocks to stopping heat pumps becoming mass market, because people still think that it's not going to be easy to get their heat pump fixed, or and we've seen several, if their provider, their installer, that goes pop, who's going to service it, and who's going to look after it, and who's going to be there if it goes wrong? So that's exactly what we're trying to do.
I think the benefit of having a national network that we're building is exactly that. It helps give the customer more peace of mind that you're not relying on, or you are relying on a local expert, absolutely, but ultimately they're part of a family of a load of installers with good financial backing. So hopefully more secure, or as secure as we can possibly be. So the likelihood of a HomeTree customer not being able to get that service and get that quality kind of support is hopefully really low.
Are you new to heat pumps and feeding lost? Then From Zero to Heat Pump Hero helps you understand, operate, and optimize your system. No jargon, just simple practical advice from one homeowner to another. Take control of your heating and save energy. Get your copy now. Link in the description. Emma, let's wheel this back to the beginning now. So, we've spoken about the servicing aspect and the installation quality. Can oversizing or undersizing dramatically reduce the system's life expectancy?
And it just comes back to the first couple of things that were being talked about in terms of the compressors. If it is undersized and constantly working its nuts off during that heating season, then it's going to burn itself out. If it's oversized and it's constantly stop starting, it's going to burn itself out. And that's it. All comes down to the stop start aspects of your compressor. So unless it's just an inherent fault in the system, and as I say, you're as likely to lose an engine or a Maserati as a cheap-ass car you just bought on Gumtree. If you're unfortunate, these things happen. But if you're, running that Maserati to death or, creeping a V6, V8 engine around your village at 2 miles an hour, it's not going to do it much good. It's about horses for courses, a well-designed, well-installed system. Designing it right for your home, installing it correctly so that it's balanced, open zone, great, but, moving far, far away from on off, trying to give the homeowner the education, the confidence to say, look, guys, just let it do its thing. We're here to support you. We're around the corner if you need us. Promise you it's going to be fine. Stop, take your thermostats, that you want in every single room in the house and put them in the bin, and we'll make this system work for you. Because that is the single biggest thing that's going to keep your system, running longer. Just don't make it stop start.
Simon Wardle, in terms of what Emma just said, do you think that that's why manufacturers just like to recommend putting buffer tanks in, just to kind of remove that from the equation, just to make the heat pumps run a little bit kind of more controlled?
Yeah, they've been bloody lazy. It's a cop-out. They've got their stop-start. I've just gone up with a homeowner where one of the big six, so to say, is quoted them £15,000 just to put the heat pump on the back of the house up to a buffer. And guess what? It's up to a plumber after that to do all the work after that. So I'm like, you're doing... I'm in the wrong job if I can get 15 grand to put a heat pump on the back of a house and plug it into a buffer. This is on a brand new build as well, so really easy to do. Buffers were put in place because we didn't know enough about the system, but it was, and if we was having this conversation 15 years ago, everyone would have called me a job's worth and saying ban buffers, because electricity was cheap. So we didn't care about bills and we weren't on about running costs. Also, as we highlighted earlier, it was fixed speed compressors. So the thing with a buffer, you've got two fixed speed pumps doing exactly the same. So as long as you balance both of them sides out, with buffers now, and I'm totally against them, as you know, but you've got, with all heat pumps now and inverter driven machines, you've got a moving pump. So it's the broken watch scenario, right, twice a day. It's either going too quick or it's going too slow. And I need to put Emma in a cupboard. That would be a job. So touching the other side of that pump, putting it on pump speed 1, 2, or 3, depending on the load of the house. So yeah, it's just a cop out, buffers, but it's people that are uneducated and don't know how heat pumps work. So there you go. I've just made a load of enemies.
Simon Baseden, so when we conducted a little mini poll of what homeowners are paying to put heat pump systems in at the moment, kind of post bus grant, they're still having to find between 10 and 15k, depending on the size of the house, to actually get that heat pump installed. If these machines do start to fail after, let's say, 12 or 15 years, do you think that the actual units themselves are going to start getting cheaper, so that when you just have to replace it and you've done the rest of the work inside the house already, so whether that's pipe work, cylinders, whatever it is, do you think that fee will start to get smaller?
Definitely. The grant is for the conversion. It's nothing to do with the heat pump. The heat pump you're buying, because not strictly with the rules, but technically the way I see it is, if you're changing your boiler or you want to upgrade your boiler, you're going to pay 2, 3, 4 grand. The heat pump is 3, 4, or 5 generally. So it's a little bit dearer, and that will come on par. Either boilers will get more expensive or heat pumps will get cheaper, or meet in the middle. Retrofitting your house is once, and then any work you do to your house after that 30 years later is just because it's old, if you're changing radiators and that then. You could have, in my opinion, at least 2, maybe 3 heat pumps on the life of your circuit within your house before you probably have to generally change stuff. But you only need to retrofit it once, provided it's done correctly and designed for your correct heat loss with your correct flow rates to each of your emitters. Then the rest of it can be changed. If I want to change the design of my house, I can put fancy designer radiators on, provided they emit the heat that's required for the room and the design. This is why MCS are asking us to give these packs. When you sell your home and someone else wants to change the way the heating's working, or they want to understand how it works, it's technical enough, the pack, that a person that understands a low temperature heating system can look at this and go, oh, I see what they've built. And then they can look after it for them afterwards. It's longevity. So the answer is yes. I think the average cost of changing your heat pump will be the equivalent, or maybe even slightly cheaper than a boiler if we were 30 years in the future and today was that day. I think if you would change the boiler in my house, it would be $2,500, $3,000 if I was to use a reputable company. And if I wanted a heat pump and I already had that circuit, I would be paying right now, low-end market, same Mitsubishi or the more expensive Valence and stuff, $1,000 more. Assuming one existed and I'm taking it, because you might have to change the controls and stuff. Then the generation of controls would have improved by then. I don't see them coming away from a simple probe in the side of the cylinder and so on and so forth. So assuming that's all the same and there's no retrofit on the controls, it would take a day. I just want to put a point out there. I have a new home. That's why it doesn't have a heat pump right now, and we're too busy to fit it in. But it's designed and ready to go. I know I'm still burning. But to be fair, we were waiting for the rule to change on MCS because I want to put mine in my neighbour's garden on their fence.
If you've got any questions about heat pumps, then you need to join the Renewable Heating Hub forums. You can connect with other homeowners, share experiences, and get advice on heat pumps and renewables. Sign up today and be a part of the conversation. Link in the description. So that's a wrap for today's episode. A huge thank you to Emma, Olly, Pran, Simon, Wardle, Simon Baseden for sharing their experience and expertise, and to our sponsor Hometree for supporting no-fluff conversations like this one. If you enjoyed it, make sure that you subscribe, spread the word, and head over to renewableheatinghub.co.uk to keep learning and connecting with others on the same journey, and give Watson, our heat pump expert chatbot, a try. Until next time, stay warm, stay green, stay tuned. Goodbye.